Moving on, let's move on from the news. Let's moving on to our first topic, our main topic of starts, sits, or sleepers. So what we're going to do is run through a one starter each, a person who you should sit, and a person who is really a sleeper who potentially can have a breakout game on the week one. This is all content to help you choose your lineup. I know that there's already a few players of my roster because I've just got such a good draft. Now I don't know who to pick. Tom, let me know if you want to talk trades. But moving on from that, why don't we start with you, Tom? Let's go with your start.
Before we hop into this.
Yeah.
If you're looking at Christian McCaffrey, you know, we're not going to put him on this list because that's an obvious start. So when we're talking about starts, we're talking, you know, the later round picks, not your studs, which, you know, you might be thinking, you know, should I have them on the bench? Should I start them? We're looking at those kind of picks. Obviously,
that's very good. That's a really good point. I think the Bear explained it to me earlier. We're looking at those sort of flex picks. Who are those flex picks? You already got your wide receiver 1-2, RB 1-2 all sorted. This is your flex pick of, you know, who's going to perform better. Is it going to be your running back 3 or wide receiver? Let's have a look and see what we all think. And then hey, you never know. Maybe your wide receiver or running back 2 maybe have a tough matchup this week. Maybe you just want to pull them back and move your flex up and change that around. So let's get into it.
By the way, whilst I remember, no, I just saw a great piece of advice.
We will get there eventually.
I want to share it with our listeners because it was a great piece of advice. If you have a player that you are going to play in your flex slot that is playing on Thursday night, then put them up in the respective starting running back or wide receiver slot, because if anything happens, you've then got more flexibility to fix your lineup as you come into the Sunday games or the Monday games if you need to. I thought it was actually quite good advice. That can be the difference between you having to put in a terrible running back 3 versus a pretty good wide receiver 3.
Yeah, fantastic advice.
Yeah, nice.
Sorry, carry on.
Go on then, Tom. Let us hear your... first of all, should we go through starters first?
Yeah,
all of our starters, and then we'll move through sitters.
Let's start positive.
So, Tom, who do you want to start with?
I'm going to start with James White. I think they're playing Miami, New England. Sony Michel is off. The pup, he's apparently activated for week 1. Bear in mind, he hasn't done too much training camp. Damian Harris went down with a late wrist injury. That leaves Rex Burkhead and James White, who've had any time with Cam.
Yeah, because they've had to activate their backup running back off the practice squad, haven't they?
Yeah. I think JJ Taylor or something.
Something like that, yeah. It doesn't matter, he's not going to play.
But Cam always likes to check down. You've got Cam's rushing ability, he can do it, which will free space up for James White. I think, to be honest, he's a high RB2. Potentially, depends on how it goes in Miami, could end up with some RB1 numbers. James White's always got some solid floor of 10 to 12 points a week. I think he can actually reach into 20 plus points this week. I think Miami, although they've improved their defense a bit, they're still a bit of hot garbage. They should give points away. The Patriots D should keep them out. And they'll use the run game and James White and the screens and the slants. Because who's the deep receivers?
Are you not concerned that Josh McDaniels is like an evil genius of offensive schemes? Are you not concerned that the introduction of Cam Newton is going to change their scheme and it's going to lead to less checkdowns to someone like James White?
No, I mean, even Cam Newton, when he was playing with Christian McCaffrey, did a lot of checkdowns. If you watch the All or Nothing Panthers, they actually had a good rapport. And there isn't a tight end like Olsen for him to throw to, who he used to love dumping off to. I think, honestly, Sweetfeet will be out there on a lot of them. A lot of snaps. Yeah. And look, he's won Super Bowls. James White's a clutch player. He's built up a rapport already with Cam Newton. So's Edelman. I think outside of Julian Edelman, James White is your other start. But Julian Edelman's a bit more obvious if he's in your rosters. So I think James White, for me, if you're saying I'll put him one of those 2 RBs, hopefully you've got an RB1 you've drafted, like an Alvin Kamara or a Miles Sanders. But after that, James White.
Cool.
I like it.
Yeah. Matty, go on.
Right then, so I'm gonna bring in somebody who I actually drafted myself, Stephon Diggs versus so they're playing New York Jets at Buffalo, which I think is going to be a really tough game for the Jets to sort of produce any good numbers there. I think that the offense for Buffalo is going to have be on the front foot. The defense for New York Jets aren't exactly stellar, are they? So what I've just found out as well is that Stefan Diggs and Josh Allen had some unofficial practice in the off-season together to build their chemistry. I think Diggs is a great wide receiver, and they've slapped it everywhere they can that he is their wide receiver number one. Josh Allen's is a quality quarterback that I think their chemistry is going to build, and I think he's going to have an absolute stellar game.
I think this is going to be a good test for the Bills this season, because we saw last season that they weren't ones to chase the points, but that might have been because Josh Allen wasn't really he didn't really feel like it. They were relatively passive in their play style. If we look at the Vegas spread, they are the Jets versus the Bills. That's the lowest scoring game this week. So, but it could all be wrong. I mean, fantasy football is an amazing game. You never know what's going to happen. So, we'll have to see.
I like what you've done there as well, because you've essentially done the old target Adam Gase trick, because the man's a stooge. So you're going to come up with that. My start was very nearly going to be the Buffalo Bills defense today, but then I figured it's probably not on waivers and nobody's rostering two defenses unless they want to lose this year. But yeah, no, I like that. Play someone into the Jets, and especially the Bills. They're going to be walking in like the dog with the big bollocks, so to speak, because they've lost Brady in the AFC East, so they're going to be flying high, trying to make sure they take the crown this year. So I like that.
But there will be no...
I was just going to say, I'm really looking forward to seeing 4 people holding down Jamison Crowder, because the Jets have got no one else to pass to. Like
Brashad
hopping
Perriman,
on his shoulder.
Brashad Perriman.
Is he back? Is he?
Oh, I don't know. Actually, I didn't know he was out. I literally ignore anyone who plays for the Jets.
Yeah, no, he got injured, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Oh, yeah, 4 people are literally going to be tripping up Jamison Crowder all day long then. Never mind.
Right then, so let's carry on. Bear, what do we have?
I was stuck between a real life decision I'm making on my roster this week and someone I found out I like more than I thought I liked previously today. But I'm going to go with someone who's real life on my roster this week. I have Cam Newton and I have Kyler Murray on my roster. So I basically have the choice. Do I play Kyler Murray into the 49ers, or do I play Cam Newton into the Dolphins? And I'm definitely starting Cam Newton into the Dolphins. He has such a big chip on his shoulder. Everyone in Boston is just absolutely dogging on him. So many fans are, no, why would we trust Cam? Oh, we don't like all this Superman. We don't want a flashy player. He's going to go out there. He's going to put on the show. He's going to show him exactly what he's made of. And as you alluded to, Tom, when we were talking about James White, they're playing the Dolphins. I can't see them putting up too much of a fight. They've got better this year, but they're still not, they're still not someone we're going to look at with fear in a matchup. So yeah, Cam Newton for me this week, my starter.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm going to stick with the quarterback theme there, and my start of the week is going to be Matt Stafford. We've seen him play absolutely tremendously last season. He's up against the Bears, but the thing is, they don't have David Montgomery, so they won't be able to slow the game down, and he's just a gunslinger. I can see this going way above the expected point total. I think it's going to end up in basically a gunslinging match, and Matt Stafford is going to win.
Not hard against Trubisky, is it?
Yeah, I was going to say Trubisky has come in with only one barrel load.
Or the $21 million backup.
Yeah, very, very strange that was. I'd love Matt Stafford to go off this week because I will be starting Kenny Golladay on one of my teams, so that would be ideal for me if you could have a little word with Matty and just, sort him out, tell him to go off big this week.
See, I like those because most people would have drafted 2 quarterbacks like you did. I know, Chief. In fact, all of you did, didn't you? I don't think only I was the one to only draft 1 quarterback, but always a tough call to choose between those. You got your star quarterback. You always think it's going to be there and there out. Kyler Murray, as you say, Bear, but against 49ers, that's tough one to call. So then, now we've done our sort of starters. I've always felt we've hit the slot there. Who are we going to sit out? Who do we think is just not there week 1? Miss them. Moving on. What do we reckon?
It might be worth me starting this because we've already touched upon it. I've got my sit of the week as Kyler Murray. I think he's going to be absolutely amazing this year, but not for the first game. I think there's going to be too many fresh, jitters. We've got DeAndre Hopkins coming in, but again, it's their first game. I think it's too much just going directly into the unstoppable force of the 49ers defense, and for me, he's a sit this week.
Bosa will eat him. He'll catch him. Eat him alive.
Kyler Murray's only a little fella as well. That's going to be a painful afternoon for him.
I mean, the 49ers have lost Buckner, so the defense has actually got worse, but
it's not affecting things like their secondary and all that, is it?
Their secondary is still super strong.
I know.
Sherman will probably mark out Hopkins, and then air raid offense, it'll get picks. I think the air raid offense will get found out this year by some of the better teams.
See, so I'm going to jump in there and sort of say my sit, which was Christian Kirk. And as you alluded there, you've got DeAndre Hopkins coming in, questionable at the moment, but I think we've all kind of said that, it's hamstring. He'll get back into it for the $40 million he's just signed on. And also, as you just said there, the air raid offense might get picked, and Kenyon Drake is there. So is it just going to get offloaded off to Kenyon Drake when Kyler Murray gets smashed a couple of times and he just goes, do you know what? I'm not having this anymore. Just get it away from me. Pass it off.
I like it. All right, I'll jump in then before Tom, just because I like to be difficult, and I can see his sits. I might nick one of them. No, I'm going to say Le'Veon Bell. Frank Gore, I'm just going to say oldest man in football. He's not. I think Tom Brady is. But Frank Gore is very, very old, but has come in. Adam Gase has said repeatedly in the offseason he wants to lighten the load on Le'Veon Bell. So we can imagine Frank Gore will take some of the early down work. Le'Veon Bell is to be used for passing downs. But he's just not going to be the force he was last year. And if you drafted him early, I think the introduction of Frank Gore takes even more value away from what was already a risky pick. And they are playing the Bills, who were, I believe, the 10th best defense against the run last year, or something like that. So if you're playing for a stooge against the 10th best defense, you're not going to have a good week. So just don't start Le'Veon Bell.
They have no passing game. No passing game. Unless Jamison Crowder manages to evade the 4 defensive backs that'll be on him. And the safety, and probably the linebackers.
Lighten the load for Le'Veon Bell. Like, Adam Gase's name should just be synonymous with shit, shouldn't it? OBJ just wants a massive Adam Gase on his chest.
Allegedly.
Maybe Adam Gase is the one to do it.
It's going to be such a bad weekend if you're a Jets fan. It's just not a good way for you to be started off the season. But you know what? Screw him. No one cares.
Exactly, they're Jets fans.
And finishing it off, Tom, who are you sitting out this week?
I think Fournette is too easy because Rojo is going to beast him out, which we talked about earlier. But for me, it's Danny Dimes. Quarterback special. I know, Chief, you're quite high on him, the Moose. But I think going into Pittsburgh with that D, that's just, they've just signed some key talent again. That defense is tough in Pittsburgh. All right, you've got Saquon Barkley, amazing talent, but the Pittsburgh D is horrific. Last year, they were the 31st best team on DVOA, moving the chains, Mason Rudolph. Yet they didn't lose that many games by big margins, did they? They couldn't actually move the ball. Most of their games were
like one score.
Yeah, that's how strong the defense was, and they haven't lost anyone. And yet the New York Giants are going in there. It's going to be a bloodbath. I think he'll come out with probably 3 picks in one half.
Steelers are playing at Giants, though.
It doesn't matter. You've not really got any fans, especially not in New York.
But this is, I'm intrigued to see how the home advantage plays out in America at the moment. Obviously, in the EPL, there aren't any fans. How much does that affect their home and away advantage?
So they came out this week, apparently. The competition committee said that you're allowed to play fan noise in the stadium during the game, but it can only be up to 70 decibels, which is, I don't know, like the voice of, I think it's like the volume of a vacuum cleaner or something, whether that's
noisy,
a vacuum cleaner
noisy
next
restaurant,
door or on your ear, or a noisy restaurant or something.
Right.
And it's got to be the same for both teams, apparently. So I don't know if they're allowed to vary what's happening or if it's just like a constant level of white noise that they'll forget about. But yeah, I can't see, you talk about places like Arrowhead. I think Arrowhead once had like 140 decibels or something absolutely ridiculous for a game. That's real home field advantage when they're managing to drown out an offense trying to make their calls. But this year, if everyone's just got a flat 70, it's just a case of do you like the weather or not, really? And if you're coming from Pittsburgh, going to Giants. I mean, it's not exactly the world's most different climate, is it? It's not as if you're going from Florida to Denver or something.
Yeah, so I'd sit Daniel Jones this week.
Yeah.
I think that's very fair.
I think
Nice.
the only person you wouldn't sit him for is if you had Sam Darnold. You'd sit Sam Darnold just because he's a Jets player and useless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right then, so moving into our sleeper, this is I think I like the GOAT's answer to this already because it kind of says what it is on the tin. So we'll start with you then. Carry it on.
A sleeper is someone that you. Well, do you want to explain what a sleeper is for our listeners?
Yeah. Okay. So the sleeper, what we're looking at here is someone who we think is going to have a breakout game, who potentially you picked up as a handcuff or you didn't really expect to kick off this early in the season. So, we'll go through some examples now, but essentially it's a tough one to call on week one where nothing's happened. We don't know who's having a good season, bad season, who's injured, who's not. So we're just spitballing through injuries and through basically who the schedule is against at the moment.
And hopefully someone who's still on the waiver wire.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Or someone who is so low trade capital you could just fire off like a second to last round pick for him if someone's just not that bothered or not clued in about them.
Well, as I put on Instagram, Deebo Samuel was on the waiver wire in our home league. That's a wide receiver 1 for 49ers. So it's not really sleeping, but he's a stud, which brings me nicely segued into my sleeper thing is don't try and pick a sleeper this week. Just start your studs. It's week 1 to the Zebra's point. Don't try to be too cute. If you think, actually, this defense could do this and this player could pop off. No, I did that last year by trying to play David Montgomery week 1 and he scored me 5.2 points. I remember this. And I didn't play Austin Eckler, who scored 39 points or something stupid week 1. It was just... I remember a few years before I did it with Kareem Hunt, when he exploded in New England, I kept him on my bench, tried to get too cute. Yeah, start your studs week 1. If not, here's one, Brian Edwards. Opportunities fallen to him in Las Vegas. There's him, Ruggs, and Hunter Renfrow. That's their only decent wide receivers. Tyrell Williams is out. Brian Edwards is an absolute beast. His metrics, he shouldn't have gone in the 3rd in the draft. He has been absolutely tearing up camp, and in our big 18-man league, in another thing, I've got him, and I'm trying so hard not to start him, but I'm trying to stick to my studs next week.
There we go. That's good advice. Good advice. So I'm just going to pose a question out there. So are we saying that Miles Sanders is not going to be injured week 1?
He's not going to be injured week 1.
All right. So on that basis, I will change my person, and I'm going to throw out Damian Williams for the Chiefs.
Ooh.
So there's all the hype around
Darrell
CEH.
Williams.
Yeah, I was just there like, I've got to change my person. Shoot, who do I choose? Look, I think CEH has come in and all the hype is around him. Yet we haven't seen him play in an actual NFL game. He's not going to just get every single target and touch. I think there's still opportunity for Williams to get some good fantasy points there. And you never know what's going to happen. Are you going to trust a rookie to take it over into the red zone, or someone who's actually proven through Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, also another fact, apparently, so we're talking about waiver wires, only 23% of leagues actually have him drafted.
That's good. I was trying to find those stats earlier. I couldn't find him anywhere as I was trying to frantically search, but it's good to know.
Cool. Shall I take the next one?
Yeah,
I'm going with a quarterback special. All 3 of my guys are quarterbacks this time around. And my sleeper is Mr. Ryan Tannehill. You might say, but wait, he's a great player. Why is he a sleeper? Because he's still on a lot of waiver wires for this week. And I think he's going to have a smashing week. If we look at last season, did you guys know that Ryan Tannehill actually had the highest quarterback passer rating of the entire league? He had a 70.3%. What's it called? Passer completion. Yep.
Right.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to really absolutely come in and basically shit on your dream there. Rich, where did Tannehill end up on QB last year?
Oh, don't launch these things on me, Matthew. If
Well,
everyone can
Mario
just
just
be
started.
patient.
Go on, let's get your
Just be
stats, man.
patient.
Which Tannehill you get, Chief? Which Tannehills? He's flashed some of this before at Dolphins. Then Adam Gase killed him in Miami. But for me, there's a reason why he's not that drafted, and no one in our league really is wanting to start him. You don't know which one you're going to get. Is he a stud?
That is true, but he's got great, fantastic weapons out there. We're looking at a emergence of Johnny Smith. We're looking at AJ Brown, absolute freak of a wide receiver. We're looking at Henry working on some screen passes, bubble passes. That all comes down to receiving touchdowns, and they've just signed Jadeveon Clowney, who is a absolute amazing defensive end. He is going to protect Ryan Tannehill as if he was his baby. And I just think that this is going to be the year for the Tennessee Titans. I think they're going to run the ball, and then when they stack the box, they're going to launch it.
Who are they playing this week, sorry?
Broncos.
Oh, that's a tough place to go, though. Are they going or are they coming to?
Yeah, they're going.
They're going, but
to Denver. Oh,
If you
Von Miller
extrapolate,
Chubb are just gonna
Tannehill's
eat him.
numbers from last year, he would have finished about QB5. He only played
Honestly.
12
Well, there you go.
games, but got 230 points as QB21, so you take maybe a third of that, so at about 70, 80 points on.
Moose.
That puts
I
him up
fancy
in
a
that
wager.
QB5, QB6 range.
Fancy wager.
There you
Tannehill
go.
won't finish
Solid.
in the top 15 QBs this week.
I will take that every day of the week.
Yeah.
Right,
what's the
okay,
stakes?
In
So-
Denver,
What's the stakes? Are we doing draft pick for next year? Chief, just to update you. So the Goat and I have a bet currently that I've completely forgotten what the bet is. That
Baker Mayfield or someone else finishing higher next year for a 5th round pick.
absolutely, that's it. So the other person will be able to choose our 5th round pick for that person.
so let's trade a 7th round pick, Chief.
7th round.
Yep,
Oh,
I'll take it.
Oh,
Done.
it's on. Oh, this is the best day of my life.
So you think he'll finish in the top 15 QBs for fantasy this week?
Yep, I sure do. I
Ooh,
appreciate
15.
that they are
Top
away
15,
from
that's
home.
a lot.
Yeah,
But-
no, it's like half the league.
But
It's
the
crazy.
air is thinner in Denver, so we can launch that ball real good to AJ Brown.
Yeah, and Chubb and Von Miller will eat him. He
Right,
will get
I'm loving
eaten.
this. Absolutely loving
I would
this.
love,
I
I would
just
love it
think,
if he
you know-
comes QB16. I would love it.
You've
Right,
got
who we
the
got?
the vacuum cleaner noise from the stands. It's going to be a different experience being away from home this season. So I think it's not as much of a threat.
Sure. Can I just? This is genuinely me being stupid, and I appreciate that. It is not just white noise vacuum cleaning the sound, is it? It's like a crowd audience ambience.
Yeah.
So I'm
It
going
is
to be
like-
like, this is white noise is like the most right. I'm in my zone. Filter out all the noise. Let's go. So
It's
no,
not like
it's
Vuvu
crowd
It will
Sailors
be
at
recorded
2010.
crowd noise from other games, but it will only be 70 decibels, which isn't exceedingly
Do you,
loud.
do you know what we need to try and do? We need to try and be one of the people in the stands. We need to try and get on video, apply for this, and get on the video.
I thought you
in
meant
the stands.
fly out there and just stand there being like, throw it better!
Throw it. Become top
You're
15.
ruining my fantasy season. Because if there's like 6 of you in the stands, they're hearing that.
I've lost my 7 pick to Tom.
Here we go.
Right
Here we
then,
go. Week
let's,
1 rankings. I want to have a look actually. QB, where's he?
Hang on. So Tom, hang on. So just before you go into that, let's finish off the sleepers with Rich's sleeper vote.
I'm going to do one that's actually going to make Tom very happy. I'm going to say Blake Jarwin. I see no reason why he won't finish as a top 10 tight end this week. And for those of you who play in 12-man leagues, that means he's going to be better than at least 20% of your league, I'd imagine. At some stage, I can see him being a top 9, top 8. There's so much opportunity for him. He's got a big contract, so he's clearly trusted. And unless you're Tom doing a vindictive pick in the middle of a draft, most people can pick him up with a last round pick, or he's still available on waivers. And
On
if
the
not,
waiver.
take a look to Dan Arnold, because he's been getting nothing but praise out of Cardinals camp, and it's the same deal.
We
I
know
think
what it's
he'll
like
finish as a
with
top 12 tight end
vindictive
this week.
Cowboys picks. So, looking at the 6th round.
There's a bit of a difference. And this is big contention.
Yeah, no, you took my
where-
quarterback.
where-
It's fine. Anyway,
Okay, we'll
I'm
we'll carry
looking on
because
Fantasy
that's just
Pros.
silly.
Week 1. This
Yeah.
is the consensus rankings. Tannehill He's coming in.
Consensus rankings aren't what they've scored, though. They're not reading
No,
into
but this is
no.
predicted.
Let me-
This
Otherwise
is
this would be
predicted.
the easiest
Okay.
game.
Now, obviously, I know this, but this is predicted. He's expected to come 23rd out of all QBs this week.
Yeah, below Kirk Cousins, I will
Prime
eat my
time,
hat.
Kirk. Prime time.
No, I said below Kirk Cousins, I will eat my hat.
You know, I'd have Kirk Cousins over Tannehill this week. Kirk is like, if I die, I die. So for that, I like
well
it.
I
angry
don't know.
about
I
that.
don't know. Vikings have a very tough matchup. Probably one of the most interesting games in my mind starting off.